Welcome and glad each of you are here. Calling the meeting to order at 5 o'clock p.m. on February the 13th. Um, Everybody is here and accounted for, so thank you. As all of you know, we offer the choice of joining us live here in Chambers or on Zoom. I would encourage each of us to quiet our phones or any devices that we might have, whether you're on Zoom or not. And if you want to speak on Zoom, please use the raised hand icon, and we will make sure that you are heard. With that, I will ask our city attorney to read us into closed session before I open public hearing. Danny?
Really quick, want to announce that everyone is present.
Pardon?
Everyone is present.
Everybody is present and accounted for. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, closed sessions will be held pursuant to Government Code 54957.6 with the city negotiators, the mayor, and Mayor Pro Tem regarding labor negotiations with an unrepresented employee who is the Glendora city manager.
Danny, thank you. And with that, I will open our public hearing. Currently, I see no one in the audience to speak. Madam Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom that has a raised hand that would like to speak?
No, Mayor, there isn't.
Okay, then I will close our public hearing and adjourn us into closed session at 5:02 p.m. Thank you. Did we need to?
renegotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 with the mayor and the mayor pro tem as the city negotiators regarding labor negotiations with the unrepresented employee, the general Glendora city manager. The discussion was had and direction was given to the labor negotiators, but no reportable action was taken.
Okay, thank you. Just for the people that are here, we're going to go back into closed session to discuss one more issue. We probably won't start until about 7:10. So if you want to run up the street and get some coffee or something, please go ahead and, do that. With that said, Mr. City Attorney, would you read us into closed session on another matter, please?
So I think you gotta, or if there's any comments on the closed session item.
Okay, I will open public comment on the closed session item, which is
Listed in the agenda.
on the agenda, which is the property matter. And I will open that for just that. Madam Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom that has a raised hand that wants to speak about that?
No, there's not.
Okay, and I don't see anybody that's giving us a card, so I will close the public hearing on that and refer it out to our city attorney to read us into closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Closed session will be had with respect to real property negotiations, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code 54956.8. And the property address to be discussed is APN's 8655007-900, 901, 902, and 8655021-900.
Thank you, sir, and I will now adjourn us into closed session at 6:52. Thank you.
Hi,
Good evening,
thank you.
for the regular session.
Okay,
Is there a public restroom in here somewhere?
I can walk you over. It's right over here.
Oh, is the restroom door from here sitting?
Huh? Yeah, I can see it. I know. I was just sending
Doesn't come-
Greg is a message.
All right, thank you. Sorry that we're starting a little bit late. I'll have our city attorney read us out of yet another closed session.
Yes, Mayor, council had a closed session regarding real property negotiations authorized pursuant to Government Code 54956.8 with respect to the real properties known as assessor parcel numbers 8655007-900, 901, 902, and APN 8655-021-900. The staff gave a report to the council on the status of negotiations, but no reportable action was taken.
Thank you, Danny. And I want to welcome each and every one of you, those that are present here and those that are on Zoom. As you probably know, we offer both pathways to be a part of what we do. And I would just remind everybody to turn off their phones or any other, a device which they have, and appreciate that. We will start with our Mayor Pro Tem. He's going to lead us in the pledge, and then I'm very happy to have Shelley, who is the president of the board of the First Church of Christ Scientist, come and pray for us. And Shelley, after Mayor Pro Tem leads us in the prayer, just come up to the microphone and we welcome you to pray. And if you could, please stand. Thank you.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. In the demands of each day, may we pause often to seek the wisdom that is from above, leaning not on our own understanding, but on the divine for guidance, to follow in the way that He points out. We pray that the spirit of peace and love, the spirit of compassion, kindness, gentleness, humility, and patience be expressed in each of us, especially in the moments that seem most demanding, and rule out of us any unproductive thought or action. Certainly, the shadow of the Almighty and His love for this dear community encompasses every city block, street corner, household, and schoolyard. May He guide, protect, and give strength to our public servants in Glendora, including our elected officials, those in the armed forces, our first responders, those serving in our hospitals and clinics, our teachers and school administrators, our business owners, and those running our nonprofit organizations. Let us close with a promise God spoke to Moses, recorded in the book of Exodus in the Bible. Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Amen.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for leading us in the flag salute. And Shelley, thank you so much for a beautiful prayer. We appreciate that. And may God continue to bless your church. Thank you. All right. As noted earlier, when we first began, all of the council is here. And so that's good. We will now go to public comment period. I would encourage those people that want to speak to fill out a yellow card. I have several tonight. And so I thank you for those. And if you're on Zoom, once those that are here speak, we will ask if there's anybody on Zoom that wants to speak. Please use the raised hand, icon, and we will allow you to speak at that moment. Direct all of the statements that you have toward me, presiding officer, and stay within the allotted time frame, which is posted on two of our screens. So with that, let me just start off with Joe Cena. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Mayor Thompson, City Council, City staff. My name is Joe Seen. I'm the President and CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce. I thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. This past week, the Chamber was proud to announce this year's Citizen of the Year. We had a couple of nominations, and it's always a very difficult award for the people that have to judge the applications to choose. And I'm proud to announce that this year's recipient is Dr. Cliff Hamlow, which I think is a great choice. Cliff, people are really surprised he's never got it before. But Dr. Hamlow we'll have the celebration dinner on April 18th at the Glendora Country Club, and more information will come out for tickets for that. The chamber is a busy place. The remainder of the month, we have 2 more mixers opportunity for people. We have an after hours mixer next Tuesday at the American Funding in the Village here. And then we have our Women of Business meeting or gathering on Saturday, the 24th at 7 p.m. So there's that. And then there's 4 more in March. So stay tuned for more. Then on February 23rd, we have a ribbon cutting. It's going to be at the chamber office, but it's for one of our members, a local photographer. So that'll be at 10 o'clock, Friday the 23rd. And then we like education at the chamber. So we have a lot of workshops coming up. The chamber, we put on our own. Like our next one would be March 4th at America's Christian Credit Union on social media optimization. And then we're working on others, AI for business and, web development, ADA requirements for websites and all that kind of fun stuff. And then we're also teaming up with the Valley Area Chamber of Commerce, which all the chambers in the Valley, we meet every month. And we're doing a workshop series, one every month on the first one will be March 21st, entitled The Landscape of 2024 Trends and Challenges. And then every month after that, there'll be topics such as renewal strategies, adapting to change, employee well-being, and global perspectives, adapting to international dynamics. Lots of fun stuff. So we're busy and I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. Mr. Eric Frecking, please. Eric, please. Welcome.
I got a prepared statement, so I gotta just read. So sorry about the lack of eye contact. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff, and community members. My name's Eric Frecking. My family and I have lived in the city of Glendora for the past 15 years. I'm here tonight to ask the City Council to vote against moving forward with this contract and award as proposed tonight for Convergent Technologies, item number 9 for new business. I consider myself an active member in the Glendora community by coaching and holding board positions for baseball, football, and soccer. That is when I was introduced to the City of Glendora staff back in 2018 when you had a recent copper theft issue down at the Louis Pompey Sports Park. I was working at that time on a design build solution for a new MLS stadium in the city of Los Angeles, and I wanted to bring that same leading technology to the City of Glendora while also ensuring the City of Glendora would have numerous options for support and a scalable security solution for the next decade. These requirements were learned by myself while I was employed as a security manager at the Norton Sound Museum in Pasadena. I'm here once again to ask the council to vote against moving forward with the contract as proposed tonight for Convergent Technologies. I'm a former employee of Convergent Technologies who qualified them for the existing security project by attending all 31 site surveys and visits and the mandatory requirements. Unfortunately, I was forced to leave Convergent Technologies when they failed to pay me on time for a large 1,100 camera, $2 million project at a local Cal State University. I believe Convergent Technologies was paid in full by the Cal State within 2 months, and I was finally compensated about 6 months later. I was also advised that I'd not be able to support my existing customer base, which was the city of Glendora and other higher enterprise customers in the area. Their values and beliefs have no merit with Eric Frecking. The issues I've reviewed with the documents that were provided in the board agenda tonight. The fracking source well customer discount of $700,000 to $120,000 has not been applied to the city of Glendora. It is my recommendation that the city of Glendora should not purchase any cameras less than 4 megapixel, 2 megapixel or 1080p cameras. Once you zoom in, pixelate and are blurry and non-usable for forensic investigations. It is recommended that thermal cameras be used in the low light or no light parks and water district locations, not in the current proposal. It is recommended new jail cell cameras from Avigilon be used for the police department, which are also not in the proposal. The city of Glendora should also be purchasing ACC 8, which is a software that works with the Flock camera system that is currently invested by the city of Glendora, which is not in the proposal. And my biggest concern is the Crowther Teen Center has been without protection for the last 6 months due to the delay in this long RFP process, which Sourcewell would be a better way for you to procure product in the future. Sorry, I'm out of time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Mr. Bob Moore.
Good evening. All the playgrounds, the tracks and fields, the schools and its yards, the parks and rec areas, the schools themselves are owned and operated for the purpose of the people. They are the commons, the people's commons. They are not sports leagues. These two are mutually exclusive. Do not conflate the two as though parks and recreation areas are owned by leagues. They don't own them. People do. The people owns them. The fields and playgrounds are the people's exclusively and no one else. Don't implement your pay-to-play scheme. Leave these areas open for the public use as they've been for 70 years. The tracks at the Sandberg and Goddard Public Parks have been used by the public day and night 24/7 as a wellness program for this community for the past 60 years. For the past 40 years, they are not affiliated with any schools, just share a common name. These are public parks. Do not make them look like prisons. Don't make them like the Sutherland School. Don't put high fences around the tracks with big heavy chains like Sutherland School and industrial-sized padlocks with no trespass signs that you have at that school. A once 2-acre open field that the community, including myself 50 years ago, long before any of you showed up here, used for multi-purpose sports events, practice fields, but subsequently, once you showed up here, these multi-purpose sports events, practice fields were reconditioned into a baseball diamond, rented out for private use by leagues, even though there are 2 diamonds right next door to it. The 5 of you took away the 2 open practice fields, public congregation fields for pickup games, throwing the frisbee, throw down a blanket on the grass during a nice day, socialize, all that taken away for your money-making schemes. That's your vision, Mayor, your Orwellian vision, our dystopian nightmare. You're going to shut kids out of the teen center with a pay door, putting them on the street. Same thing with the library and the pay door for the public as well. Pay to play. That's your vision, Mayor, our dystopian nightmare. Get cops out of schools. We need those resources for ourselves, for our community. These kids need social workers, child psychologists, and counselors, not a guy with an inflated ego, a gun, a taser, a pepper spray to body slam you on the ground, stick your knee on the back of your neck, and arrest you. They're of no help in Uvalde, Parkland, or Columbine, and there is no guarantee that they'd be helped if needed. We need to deal with real issues as best as we can at this level by calling in experts and assisting us with adjunct poverty, income inequality, maddening gun proliferation, and systemic racism. Put the community and our grandparents back in as crossing guards, not law enforcement. Quit making our schools look like prisons with cops in them. Quit making our children afraid of the public. A public that they're going to have to interact with at some point in their lives. Your carceral jackboot justice approaches have failed, and we see things are getting worse every year. The City Hall and school district need to have a new paradigm shift in thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Mrs. Karen Garcia. Karen, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor,
Hi,
council
Karen.
members. I'm Karen Garcia. I'm with the Glendora Historical Society, and I wanted to share with you an event that we're having March 1st. It's a late afternoon evening event from 4 to 6 p.m. I don't know if you all got a copy of the flyer. Thank you. Yes, we are, it's our first event that we've done this kind of recognition for Glendora's women of distinction. We've identified 13 women from our glorious past and present that we wanted to recognize at this event. And we got input from local women's groups, service clubs, and other community members to help us come down with this list. So the list is extensive. For our first year, we really wanted to showcase some of the women from our past who have made significant contributions to Glendora, as well as members of the community today. So let me run down the list real quick. Our first awardee, Mary Alice Cullen, who was actually our first permanent resident of Glendora, her and her family, along with John Bender. Almira Eccles, Betty LaFetra, Marty Rodriguez, Dr. Annette Anderson, Mildred Kobzeff, Dr. Pat Rasmussen, Sarah Ludwig, Debbie Deal, Penny Paulus, Ruth Richardson Kimball, the Honorable Karen Davis, and Jessica Tiraboga. So we have quite an extensive list, all a range of varied backgrounds. We covered actually 6 subject matter areas. You can see on your sheet. And I just really wish that you could come to the event and share with us the celebration and the recognition of the amazing contributions these women have made to Glendora. So we'll be kicking off Women's History Month. It's March 1st from 4 to 6 p.m. So I hope you can all come. And not only are we wanting to thank, I have 2 items actually, we're recognizing these women and thanking them for their contributions. I wanted to also thank a member of the staff here at the city of Glendora. As you know, the museum is a city-owned facility that we lease. And over the past couple of years, we've had extensive storm damage, leaky roof. And the roof got to the extent where we had barrels of 40-gallon barrels collecting rainwater inside the building. But with your amazing staff, your facilities maintenance staff led by Ryan, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his last name, we call him Wonderful Ryan, Ryan Haseki, he and his crew were there anytime we needed assistance. And I wish to just express our appreciation and thanks for all of his amazing work. Their team was wonderful and really helped support us. So thank you very much. We have a brand new roof and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you,
Thank you.
Karen. And lastly, I'm going to not say this last name correctly. Bill Bertona? Bertino. Okay. I'm sorry, Bill. Thank you, but welcome.
Much worse.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Welcome.
Mayor and council, I have 2 concerns to bring to your attention. One is at the intersection where Baldy Vista comes together with Elderberry Drive in the La Colina territory. From the sidewalk there, a cement walkway was built down to Citrus. It makes it very nice for walking if you want to ride the what was the Gold Line at the APU Citrus station. The last time I walked that, there was a gate across it. Now, the gate was not locked, but there was a pad as if it could be locked. So if someone could explain to me why that's there and if it's going to be locked in the future. I did, as I was walking down, a man was walking his dog, and I said, "How long has this been here?" "Oh, around a month." "Have you ever experienced it being locked?" "Not yet, but I can hardly wait for that to happen." So that's one concern. My second concern is the intersection of Grand and Bennett. Since I live on Barranca, I use Bennett quite a bit going eastward, post office, library, Vaughn's, Albertsons. And a year ago, before the resurfacing happened, I doubt that I had to spend more than 15 or 20 seconds at the light before it would turn green. The last few times I've checked my watch, it's now up to 40 to 45 seconds, even if there's no one crossing on Grand. So a few weeks ago, I thought, well, there's a solution to that. I'll just turn right onto Grand and go use Mead and travel eastward, until I saw that someone, or not someone, the city has put up signs, no turning on red lights, no right turn. So I can't do that. So it's either drive up to Leodora and access eastward, or go to Grand at Bennett and wait that 40 to 45 seconds before, which, I know it's not a major idea, but if it used to be 15 to 20 seconds, suddenly it's 45. Sometimes it seems like it's a long time. And I'm just wondering why that has increased, and what was the need for the no turn on red light, no right turn on red light. So those are my two concerns. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill, and we will get you an answer in just a minute or two on that. Those are all of the cards that I have. Have any other cards come in?
No.
No?
I do not
And is
have.
there anybody on Zoom that has a raised hand that would like to speak?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then I will close our public comment period and bring it back to member. Michael, I'll start with you, sir.
First off, to answer your question about the Grand and Bennett, I asked that question as well to our city manager. That was a result of a traffic study to have no right turn. He's going to check on that to see if that can maybe be changed to school hours only, perhaps. So they are working on that. And I do know that we have the county that's been working on a lot of our signals, and maybe Moises can just speak about that. On the gate over there, that's a private property. It's not with the city. So that's a security issue that the HOA over there has instituted on their own, and we have no say in that issue. So sorry about that. On January 28th at Foothill Christian Church, the mayor and I and our wives attended a prayer vigil that they had for the city, and it was amazing. Lasted probably about an hour and a half or so. It was very well attended, and we're very honored to be there. And on January 30th over at St. Lucy's, they put a little community get together over there, and it was just amazing. It's just a wonderful school, and they do such great outreach to the community. And they are really doing really well with a lot of folks over there attending, with more on their way. I believe they're full attendance right now with the staff that they have. So it was great to be able to be invited to St. Lucy's and partake. They had a nice spread of goodies and all that, but I think some of us are kind of watching what we eat after Christmas, and it's been a little, it was very enticing, but it was very nice. Glendora PD was there, and most of the council was there as well. It was very well attended. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Michael. Gary?
Actually, I'm nothing tonight.
Well,
Been a boring couple weeks.
do you want to say that again, just to have it on tape? And
I
Okay.
am good. Thank you much.
Well, thank you, sir. Karen?
No report.
Thank you, Karen. Mayor Pro Tem, David?
No report. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to give everybody kind of an update on our recent rains. There have been, as of today, 179 potholes filled. Can I get a cheer for that, or at least one person clap? That's pretty good. And we have crews that are still out there, looking for potholes. If you know of a pothole, please call us and we will make sure that it gets filled. We thought we saw one potential sinkhole, but it was very small and we were able to take care of that. We did not have any mudslides, which was great. We did not have any significant large trees fall, which was great. And pallets of, pre-filled sandbags. We had 10 of those that were right out here, and people came to, get those. We did have some minor, roof leaks, and Karen, your building is not on my list, so that roof must have been good, and kudos to Ryan for doing a good job there. Water, from the 5th through the 9th, we had in inches now, 10.8 inches. So just a little shy of 11. And through or from October 23rd to date, we've had just shy of 18 inches, 17.96. And I think we've all felt that, experienced that. And I also have, and I won't bore you, but all of the reservoirs are up and looking very, very good. And so I just want to thank you, thank our, staff for doing a great job, the public works crews that are been out there, police and fire that responded to numerous calls. I'm, sure the county for, their help, making sure that all of the drains are cleared. And I even got calls from state and federal reps offering help in any way. I think our, assistant city manager said, well, if they'd like to, pave a mile of Route 66, we would take that. And I don't think that was the essence of their call, but nonetheless, they did call us and we appreciate that. So with that, that is it. That's all that I have. Gary?
If I may, since
Sure.
you brought up the rain, I'm going to ask to put Janet on the spot for a minute. If you could come up and share with us, I think it's important for the public to understand a lot of the water issues that we're having at our library. And maybe you could give a little, paint a picture with words like you do is what you dealt with over this last storm.
Sure, absolutely. So good evening, everyone. We have had leaks in the library. We can document at least back till since 1978, I think was our first notice of that in local periodicals, newspapers and magazines. So there are a lot of leaks that are, I guess you could consider them old friends. Some of them are above the books and stacks areas of the library that recur pretty much every time there's any kind of rainstorm, and they soak the acoustical tiles. And we have at least for a couple of years, just left plastic sheeting up above the books to protect them from that continual rainfall inside the library. A drip, really. There's multiple drips there. There are also leaks in the towers that you can see on Glendora Avenue. Those windows are leaking and on several sides. There are leaks more to the interior of the main floor of the library, again, that soak the acoustical tiles. And we are starting to get some water intrusion along the cinder block walls that face the garden on Glendora Avenue as well. So some of those are, like I said, recurring, that happen every year. Some of them just happened again this time for the first time in a few years with the big storm. And the one of the seepage along the wall on Glendora Avenue is new. So that's a pretty, that's like an inventory of what some of those leaks are like. It does, we are able to protect most of the materials. We have had the space tested for mold, and it has come up safe from that perspective. But certainly there's lots of caution tape, lots of buckets full of water that have to be emptied. Like I said, there's plastic sheeting that's been up for a couple of years. It does impact the customer environment and certainly our ability there's a lot of time spent negotiating around it to make sure that our materials and our equipment don't get wet. Is that the kind of thing you had in mind?
That's enough for
Okay.
now.
All right.
But thank you very much. I just think it's important, the library staff have done such a great job hiding the issues that we have had. And if you didn't hear Janet, she commented that the leaks started happening in the mid 1970s. So within about 5 years after the library was constructed, the roof has started leaking, and we have spent millions of dollars trying to fix it over the years and not been successful. So as a community, we're going to be having to have a serious conversation about what needs to happen next. But since you brought up the rain, I thought I'd just take that opportunity to have you share a little bit, but thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you for your indulgence as I detailed all that for you. Appreciate the question. Thank you.
That's a great update. Thank you, Janet. Mr. Lopez, I know you're going to be speaking on a matter, but is there anything that you want to add to the questions that Bill raised and the information that Michael shared on those two issues, or anything else that you want to say?
Certainly. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Actually, just to compliment Councilmember Alawas because he provided all of the information that I was going to provide relative
Oh,
to the
good.
street,
All right.
the traffic signal, as well as the gate that belongs to the HOA
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But other than that, just since the last time we met, we did have a special city council meeting on January 30th, where the city council and Board of Education considered a master joint agreement, use agreement for the use of sports fields and facilities, school resource officer program, the crossing guard program, as well as professional library services. That kind of takes, more than 60 years worth of partnership and history, consolidating and revising the terms of those agreements. So I wanted to throw that out there since one of the public speakers made a comment or alluded to that agreement and the partnership that we have with the school district. We still have some work to do to implement it. We're working towards a July 1 implementation of this calendar year. And so Recreation and Human Services staff is already working on their side of the agreement. Public Works staff is working on their side of the agreement. We will be meeting with our counterparts at the district over the next couple of weeks, alongside representatives from all the local sports leagues. With that, Mayor, we'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Nando, if I may.
Sure.
Moises, if you could comment on the fields at the top levels of Goddard and Sandberg, those are used by the public after school hours, and they always have been available after school hours. As residents, sometimes we go down there during the school timeframe. If you could just comment on what that policy has always been.
Sure. The policy has been historically that the third tier at Sandberg and Goddard become public parks at 3:30 in the afternoon. So the comment that was made that they were always available to the public 24/7 is simply not true. In fact, anyone who is technically on those tiers in those park areas before 3:30 in the afternoon will be asked to leave the campus, and the school administrators have been doing that. Moving forward, that timeline has been pushed back by half an hour, so they will become public parks at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That simply reflects the change in schedule for all the kids that attend those schools, that have those start and stop schedules have been adjusted over the years. So we will be updating the signage that is there to make it very clear to all members of the public that they should avoid those areas before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Mondays through Fridays.
Appreciate it. As much as we want the areas open to the public, the safety of our kids are always the most important thing, and we need to consider. So thank you for that.
Danny, our city attorney, any update or anything that you want to add?
No, thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything tonight.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, we will go to item 3, an update on our strategic plan from Mr. Lopez, our assistant city manager. So Moises, you are up.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, as soon as this.
And just while he's getting everything up, this is the plan for 2023 to 2025. The city operates on a 2-year plan, a budget as well, and the city staff, the council are deeply a part of this plan, the budget as well, and so it's always good to just get an update as to objectives that are out there, objectives that have been done, and things that are still being worked on. So with that.
Appreciate that
Thank you.
introduction, Mayor. We've constructed an internal tracking system precisely to be able to share with the council on a quarterly basis the progress that we're making relative to the implementation of the strategic plan. For all intents and purposes, it serves as a work plan for staff. So as the mayor alluded to, it mirrors the 2-year budget cycle that we have currently, that we're in the midst of. to ensure that the funding, the priorities outlined by the city council through its strategic plan are funded. Simply put, what gets funded gets done. And so I'm not gonna go through every single one of the tasks that have been identified, but I do want to highlight a couple of them under each goal. So this is the system that we have in place to be able to track it. I'll give you kind of the snapshot or dashboard view of it. And we'll start with goal number 1, which is implement strategic economic development. 37 separate tasks were included under this particular goal. To date, 9 have been completed, 16 are currently in progress, and 12 have not yet been started. 2 items I want to highlight. The first is as it relates to the village. We are currently working with the Business Improvement District as part of an ongoing dialogue with the chamber to assume kind of day-to-day management of the bid. I'm pleased to report we've had a lot of productive conversations with the chamber over the last couple of weeks with the chamber's leadership to develop a scope of work on what that day-to-day management is. So we anticipate that we'll be back before the council in the next several months with an agreement to proceed with that transition. We still have work to do. And I certainly don't want to put any pressure on Mr. Sino, who's here tonight, but I think it's fair to say that the conversations have been very productive in that sense.
Please put pressure on him.
The second objective that I want to highlight relates to something that's actually on the agenda for later this evening. It's the comprehensive public art policy. This is an item that is on your strategic plan. Council did approve a policy back in early January, and tonight we're simply having a conversation related to the impact fee related to it. So we'll be able to hopefully, after tonight's conversation, at least be able to move that from in progress to completed. I hope. Under goal 2, which is maintaining our financial stability and sustainability, we have 19 tasks were included under this goal. 2 of those have been completed. 10 are currently in progress and 7 have not yet been started. This includes relating to the long-term security of our revenues to fund core public services. As happens as part of the budget cycle, we are currently evaluating our municipal code for any references to fees, charges, taxes, where payment is due to the city. We want to make sure that whatever is in our municipal code, it actually matches what's in our master schedule of fees for consistency. So we're clear on that. That work began in December. It will be included as part of your upcoming budget, the mid-cycle budget consideration. The second item I want to highlight, we've begun to implement the city's new financial software. We went live with a component back in January. Staff worked through the holiday break to make sure that that transition was as seamless as possible. We have other elements of the financial system that are going to be implemented over the next several months, and we anticipate that HR and payroll will go live sometime this summer. So good progress being made there by our finance staff. The last item I want to highlight under this particular goal is about enhancing the city's risk management program. We're currently working with ICRMA to proactively address areas of concern like sidewalks. As we know, that's been an issue that the city council has had to deal with claims filed against the city. Builds on the work and support, frankly, that the council has provided public works staff in recent months to fund additional monies to be able to improve the condition of our sidewalks throughout the city. And we'll continue making progress on that front. So good reportable actions on that. Moving on to goal 3, enhancing employee development and retention. This goal had 15 tasks under it. None of them have yet been completed. We have 11 that are currently in progress and 4 that have not yet been started. I want to highlight 2 very important ones for us. One deals with our ability to attract, recruit, and retain qualified individuals to our organization. As you know, we've begun implementation of an internship and apprenticeship program over the last several months. We're very happy with the progress that we've made. It's part of our effort really to develop the next generation of employees in our workforce. And so I want to highlight a program that's being led and by the folks that are part of this program. It's the Season of Service. You might have heard during the holiday season, we hosted a community event to help support clients from visiting angels as well as animals during the holiday season. We had 55 people participate. 30 of those were members of our community. So we had 25 staff members participate on their own time. They were able to generate 112 cards that were sent to clients of visiting angels, as well as put together 96 animal toys. Just last week, ahead of Valentine's Day, they had their second event. They built string hearts and wreaths. 38 volunteers, 35 of them were from the community. We are now getting asked by members of the community when the next event is so that they can continue to participate. So both events have been very successful. We're pleased to be able to continue those programs as well. Moving on to goal 4, which is about enhancing and modernizing our organization. This is actually the goal with the greatest number of tasks assigned to it, 54. 8 of those have been completed, 27 are currently in progress, and 19 have not yet been started. I mentioned earlier, one of the items under this goal was to adopt an updated master joint use agreement between the city and school district. I won't go through the details like I mentioned it, but that is an important one that we're able to make progress, and now we're working on its implementation. The second item, again, I want to highlight the work that our finance staff has done relative to the implementation of the Tyler our financial system. We now have electronic workflows for our accounts payable section as well as for our purchasing section. So slowly making progress on that front. And just throw it out there, we're also working on the implementation of a new permitting system. We're on schedule for that to become live in November of this year. So all hands on deck effort from staff in multiple departments to be able to improve our technology. Goal 5. This relates to improving and maintaining the city's infrastructure and facilities. 27 tasks were included under this goal. 3 have been completed. 13 are currently in progress and 11 have not yet been started. The one item I want to highlight is something that we've talked about in months past, and that relates to the South Hills biking park facility improvements. We're currently working with a design consultant to prepare the final schematic design for the project, essentially to make it project ready, make it shovel ready, as they say. Very excited to share with the public that we received word that this project was selected to receive $1 million allocation from the National Park Service. Which is a very important, that's 50% of what we estimate the cost to be at this particular time. So we're really closer to making that project happen than not. And that started off about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I think, with Councilmember Boyer and I on a Saturday morning at South Hills with about 50 or so residents talking about it and letting them know it was going to take a few years before we get that far. So good progress being made there by our Recreation and Human Services. Under Goal 6, implementing strategic homelessness solutions, we have 15 tasks assigned under this goal. 2 have been completed, 12 are currently in progress, and 1 we have not yet started. As part of our effort to strengthen our outreach and engagement activities, city has always taken an active role in participating in the LAHSA point in time count. This year was no exception. We had city staff and members of the community participate in that effort this year, a couple of weeks ago. Builds on prior year's efforts as well as our own census that we conduct every year working with a nonprofit partner. The data that we collect is very, very helpful to us for on a number of fronts, but effectively it helps us prioritize what needs are out there in the community and where we need to focus our limited resources on to be able to help. The second item I want to highlight relates to our ongoing effort really to find funding opportunities that support and supplement the local resources that we allocate to address the challenge of homelessness in our community. I'm happy to report that we received a grant from the United Way of the Greater Los Angeles for $150,000, monies that will be used to make improvements to the La Fetra Center, which also is a place where we have clients in need of some assistance and where we can connect them to services. So that's a very important investment in the La Fetra Senior Center. Lastly, under goal number 7, we have 22 tasks included under this goal. 5 have been completed, 12 are currently in progress, and 5 have not yet been started. 2 items that I want to highlight. One is the addition of a multicultural event. We're still working towards making that happen. It's tentatively scheduled for Saturday, May 18th. We're still in the planning stages, but we're working with several community partners. I understand we've already secured several performance groups. We're working to secure some additional food vendors. We're reaching out to the Consular Corps to set up informational booths. And we've added it already to the winter and spring activity guide. So lots of positive feedback from our community on that. So that is an event to look forward to in the next couple of months. And lastly, as we work to address quality of life issues along the Arrow Highway corridor, I think it's important to note that while there's still work to be done, we've made considerable progress working alongside our partners at LA County. There's new signage that has been installed so that any parking limitations and restrictions that are in the county actually mirror those in the city. For everyone's knowledge, I should say, Arrow Highway, while it seems like it's in the city of Glendora, is actually not within the jurisdictional boundary of the city of Glendora. So that is county, unincorporated county land for the most part. And so we need their assistance to be able to address it. Compliments to Mayor Pro Tem Friedendahl, who has been engaged on that front over the last several months to make progress, not just on the parking issues, but also some street vending issues that we've experienced. So we will continue working alongside them to make sure that we make the progress that the community expects. And I shared with Mayor Pro Tem earlier this afternoon that we happened to be in the area about just after lunch, and we saw LA County sheriffs out there engaging with folks alongside LASA personnel. So they're out there doing their work as well. Mayor, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Excellent job. So just so that all of you know, there's only 160 objectives left. But the good news is this is a 2-year plan, and they have until, I believe, the end of June of 25.
That's correct.
Just know that we all are working hard and to better serve each one of you that live here and to make sure that the city continues to grow and thrive. So with that, questions, Karen, we'll start with you. Anything that you want to ask? Anything? Michael, anything? Gary? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you.
Anything? Okay. Well, thank you for, excellent update. We appreciate that. Thank you to the staff that makes this work. And so make sure that you let them know that we're pleased and happy and appreciate all of their hard work. So thank you, sir. Okay, we will now go to item 4. It's a public hearing on a resolution to consider amending the master schedule of fees related to the art program that we have approved. And so I will open the public hearing. And with that, have Planner Mark come and present the very short PowerPoint that you have given us. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. It's yours.
Well, we're finally here. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Mark Carnahan, City Planner. For some background, back in 2022, the topic of public art was raised and early research was presented by our director to the council. In early March of last year, the council held a special meeting to outline, as you just heard, the strategic plan objective. Goal 1, Objective 7, develop and implement a comprehensive public art policy. Later that month, city staff presented a report to the council regarding current policies and research and regulations to promote public art. Council directed staff to draft an ordinance of policies relating to the establishment of the program. Council directions specified a program to include standards and guidelines, art requirements for developments, and an in lieu fee, establishment of an art fund and an art directory. In December of 2023, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation to the council on the ordinance and resolution on the topic and with regards to its program and the in lieu fee that's being discussed tonight. On January 9th, the City Council held a public hearing for the first reading of the ordinance 2083 that adds a new chapter to our municipal code titled Community Art Programs. And some of the highlights of that new ordinance are that it applies to residential projects, which are large projects of 11 dwelling units or more, as well as commercial and industrial development with a total building permit valuation of $375,000 or more. Applicability also includes exterior modifications and alterations and additions, and all remodeling of exterior residential buildings of, again, 11 units or more, as well as all remodeling of existing commercial and industrial projects, also known as tenant improvements. Developments exempt from the program are listed, obviously, projects that are 10 or less residential units, work for like natural disasters, nonprofit organizations, affordable housing projects, performing arts type related works, and government projects. Applicable projects are required to install approved artwork in conjunction with their project, or they can pay an in lieu contribution equal to the minimum percentage of the total building valuation on the site. The fees, rates, and charges for this program shall be established pursuant to the resolution, which is being discussed tonight. The programs fund will be a community art program fund will be established, and all the in lieu fee payment contributions will be added to. So on to the fees. The prepared draft resolution is the formal action to amend the master fee schedule for this community art program. It's requirement allocation, and it's in art in lieu fee contribution. As drafted, the value of the placed and installed approved art or an in lieu fee amount shall be equal to a percentage of the total proposed development's building permit valuation, which as drafted would be 1% for all commercial and industrial and mixed use with residential as an ancillary component. It'd be 0.50 or 0.5% for all new residential developments of 11 or more units and new mixed use with residential as a primary component. So what that means is the valuation would be based on the total project-based construction costs. Therefore, a project with $1 million valuation would be required to have artwork or an in lieu fee contribution in the amount of $10,000 if it was commercial, or $5,000 if it was residential, under that 1.5% idea that can be discussed tonight. So we decided to run the numbers on if those 1% and 5% were in play. So for additional reference, this data table was prepared that shows relatable development projects that were issued building permits between January of 2022 and January of 2024, and which if they had been subject to this community art program, what that would have reflected if we were to have applied a 0.5 residential and a 1% commercial, for comparison's sake. So the takeaways that I took from it are that it applies to several kinds of residential and commercial projects with varying amounts. The largest would have been the Brandywine Homes project on Arrow Highway and the Hyundai dealership, which had a TI project. So you can kind of see sometimes those TI projects can be as large or as a brand new building. TIs, as this will show, are a large contributor. And if there is a concern about charging them at the 1% rate, I did want to note it is feasible to separate commercial new from a commercial TI. Some cities on the newer ones that we've seen. So it is possible, for instance, to have a 0.25 or a 0.5 for TIs and a 1 for new commercial. Excuse me. They're doing good all day until right now. Finally, residential was previously discussed at our meetings, and while a 0.05 is proposed, comparable cities with residential development, 1 or 2 of them also have it as low as 0.25, for comparison's sakes. With that, before I start coughing again, staff and the Planning Commission recommend the City Council, 1, find the resolution to be exempt from CEQA, and adopt the resolution which amends the fee schedule to include the art requirement allocation and its in lieu fee contribution. With that, staff is available.
Thank you, Mark. We are in open public comment period. I don't have any yellow cards. If you are here and want to speak specifically on this is your chance. I don't have any cards to reflect that. Madam Clerk, are there any raised hands on Zoom that would like to opine on this specific topic?
No, there is not, Mayor.
There is not. Okay, with that, I will close the public comment period and bring it back to council for any questions that you might have of staff. Karen, we'll start with you.
No, I don't have any questions. I think that I appreciate all of staff's work on this and ready to go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Mark, I want to clarify on the mixed use, does that get evaluated separately based on the amount of residential versus commercial?
Yeah, we could do that. In the previous city I worked at did that. You base the commercial on their square footage and figure out the valuation based on the equations for that. And then you do the residential at that different rate. So you can break it down.
But is that in our calculations now or would that have to be added?
No, the ordinance would be able to apply. It would work.
Oh, the way it is currently?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You know, I've been against, I've articulated before, against these fees, because we always rail against Sacramento raising fees and the cost of housing in the state of California, which is a bit egregious. But I could make a compromise of separating the residential and not charging for residential, leaving it in there for some future council perhaps, and letting the commercial go ahead as planned. But residential, it's just, it's going to get passed on to the consumer. It's going to inflate the cost of housing. And then on top of that, they're going to pay for that for the rest of their life with compounding for property tax. So it's just a never ending gift, you might say, a negative gift that I just cannot support, period. And even if the commercial is going to get passed down to the consumer anyway. So that would be my compromise. But if it didn't have that compromise, I couldn't support this at all.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Gary?
Well, I think everybody knows my position on the cost of residential housing. The biggest cost that we have when it comes to housing in the state of California is government fees and taxes. And so I'm of the same mindset of Michael. I really struggle with supporting this. If residential housing is included at this point, I can support the commercial development and tenant improvements, but I would struggle with trying to do something. And I think it's something that could be addressed in the future if the housing world came to its senses and we tried to figure out how we can make housing affordable. So that would be my concerns right now.
All right. Thank you, sir. David?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mark and staff. Great report. I'm not a fan of great big fees, so Reader's Digest version, I think the commercial is good. I would even offer a 0.5% on tenant improvements to not discourage tenant improvements. And the most I would think of on residential, if it's not zero, would be 0.25%. But I just can't see doing any more than that.
All right, thank you. I think most of you know that I have championed this, and I think that the policy that we have approved is a very good one. I also endorse these fees, but I also am a man of compromise in terms of seeking fees. I don't think that any of the tenants that were shown would have not done this work because of this fee. So I would certainly support if it's moved a compromise here. So I am looking forward to hopefully seeing a city that is more alive and well because of some of the art that is out there and that can be out there and is already out there. So I hope that that we can arrive at something here. So with that,
I can support David's compromise.
okay. Are you making a motion?
I believe that the Mayor Pro Tem made a motion of sorts, and so I'll second his motion.
I'll officially move to accept the rate program with the values of 1% on commercial, 0.5% on commercial tenant improvement, and a 0.25 or 1/4% on residential as defined in the resolution.
Okay.
An alternative motion?
So there's a second, I believe, by Councilmember Davis. Danny, you need to help me here. Mr.
Yeah,
Alawas wants to make another.
He would
motion.
need a second for his his motion, and then you would vote first on the second motion and then.
Okay, good. Michael?
I'll make a 1% for commercial, 0.5% on tenant improvements, and 0% on residential.
Okay, is there a second for that motion?
You got a question first.
Okay,
I want to make sure there's an understanding of the tenant improvements because, you know, when when you're in a situation when you're doing tenant improvements as a business, you know, that's part of the cost of a business. So, and it is still a $375,000 tenant improvement project.
Yeah, and also make a distinction. Repairs are exempt. So this would be a case where you're doing a tenant improvement to not do not a repair. This is an actual improvement.
So, it would
And
be-
and the 375 would be the cap. Yes.
so it would be a complete remodel on an existing business that somebody already has, or if a new business is coming into town and doing tenant improvements to a building that's already in place, there would be $375,000. I just want to make sure because I honestly, I think I would be okay with the 1% for tenant improvements as well.
Question mark, is that 375 a cap or a threshold that the assessment begins at?
375 is the threshold, and that was adopted by ordinance.
Yeah, I just wanted to
So
verify.
a $350,000 improvement would not be assessed.
That's, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Then I'll modify my motion then to 1% for commercial, including tenant improvements, and 0% on residential.
Okay, I'll second that motion just so we can move forward.
okay. And do we want to hear
No.
David's motion again?
Well,
I mean, just to hear it.
You have my motion on the floor, you have to hear it first.
All right,
yeah, everybody heard both motions, so
Okay,
you'd
all right.
vote on this.
okay. So we will vote on the motion that's on the floor currently that's been offered by Michael and Gary.
Correct. So I will do an oral roll call. Councilmember Alves,
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Friedenau,
No,
Mayor Thompson.
No.
So motion fails.
Okay. We have another motion that's on the floor by David and Karen. Does anybody need to hear that again?
I would just like to ask if you would consider amending that motion? Understanding the tenant improvement issues, or are you still comfortable with the motion as it stands?
I'm still comfortable with that.
Okay, I will conduct a roll call. Councilmember Alves,
No.
Councilmember Boyer,
No.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Friedenau,
Yes,
Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2.
Okay, thank you. All right. Can I probably ask a stupid question, but when will this go into effect? I mean, when will the master fee schedule be amended to have this?
It's effective as of today. As of this meeting, your approval of the resolution implements the master fee schedule changes.
Okay.
So if you didn't do those tenant improvements yesterday, I'm sorry, Mendel.
Well, I just wanted to someday, I mean, sometimes there's a 60-day, there's a 30-day, there's, whatever. So, okay. All right. With that, we will go to the consent calendar. Items 5 through 8 can be accepted and approved by one motion. Does anybody want to make a, motion? That has been made? Karen Davis made it and David has seconded. Anybody want to comment on anything? Hearing none, please vote on items 5 through 8, please.
I will now conduct a roll call. Councilmember Alves,
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Friedenau,
yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. We will now go to item 9, the final one, award the contract to Convergent Technologies for security assessment in the amount of $744,803. And Public Work Director Michael Sled, Assistant Public
Director.
Work Director Michael Sled I caught myself when I was reading what is here. Michael Sled is going to report. Michael, thank you.
Thank you all for having me. As mentioned, I'm here to present on award of the contract to Convergent Technologies for city facilities security assessment and installation, phase 1. So staff conducted an RFP for facility security upgrades, during which meetings and site visits were held with interested vendors, and ultimately received 2 proposals from Convergent and Bay Alarm Company. Convergent's proposal in general was found to best meet the city's needs, and in particular, their experience and familiarity with the existing Avigilon surveillance systems are critically important. Along with the benefits of continued technology standardization in general, this particular system was installed within the last 10 years, has performed well since its implementation, and is widely used with several reputable vendors for service, updates, etc. Once it was determined that Convergent could best meet Glendora's security needs of the proposers, staff set about refining the scope of the project to conform with budget parameters and prioritize those sites whose security is the highest priority to the city operations within that budget. For phase 1 of security upgrades, this will include the Civic Center buildings, which would be City Hall, the library, and police station, and then all of the water sites. This project will support several of the city's strategic goals, including helping maintain financial stability by protecting city assets, continuing to modernize the organization's technology, and improving its facilities. So once we'd identified which sites would be included with phase 1, staff coordinated more in-depth follow-up site visits with Convergent personnel to develop basic plan drawings for what was to be installed at each location. The schematics for the phase 1 sites are all included in your packets, but for presentation purposes, I've just included a couple slides here tonight. This one shows the proposed exterior camera locations at City Hall, which will enable full 360-degree surveillance of the building and surrounding grounds. And then this is an interior schematic just showing the engineering floor of City Hall as an example. Installation in this area will include a 360-degree camera centrally located to see both sides of the room and the interior stairwell coming down from the first floor, and then motion detectors, glass break sensors, and a door contact for the exit door on the side of the City Hall's front steps. Listed here are the actual proposal costs for phase 1, as well as estimated costs for future phases, depending on implementation timing. Sufficient funding was included in the project budget to cover this first phase. Funding for future phases will be considered as part of overall facility projects on a location-by-location basis. Installation from start to finish is expected to take approximately 4 months. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll take y'all's questions.
Michael, thank you. And I will bring this back to council. Michael, we'll
Thank you,
start
Mayor.
with you.
Michael, yeah, it was brought up earlier about the resolution of the cameras, night vision, and software. Are any of these night vision capable?
The ones that are outside should be. The ones that are inside, I believe.
Should be or are?
Are.
They are.
Yeah, so I could pull up the specs. The ones outside are 12 megapixel. And the interior ones, I believe, are 2. Yeah, you'll see 2 megapixel WDR light catcher, day/night indoor. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Great, thank you.
Well, I thought you would have more, being the high-tech guy that you are.
Keep it short. You need to get
Oh.
the question.
Well, thank you. Gary, questions?
Well, I'm not the tech guy, so I
Well,
don't
neither am I.
understand a
So that's
whole-
why I was
whole
thinking
lot of what
Michael
was
would
going on.
have a lot of questions.
But some, let's face it, some comments were brought up earlier. And so my question is staff aware of these issues, and have any of them been addressed, or was this new information to staff as well that was brought up?
I mean, the
tonight?
concerns about it would be new to me. Staff involved with it included IT staff, public works staff, PD staff escorted us around their facilities. Water staff did all the site visits for theirs. There's no intent to get something less expensive really, as far as the other proposal is actually less expensive than this one, but it didn't meet our needs. So the effort here is not to try and cut costs by not getting the proper equipment. As far as I know, it's a good solution from discussing with them and what other cities have.
And then is this a time sensitive situation, or
I mean,
an issue if
none of
we
these
were to
buildings have
not
really
make a
had any
decision?
security forever, so
Okay.
I guess not. But
So I guess my question is, would it be beneficial to take another couple weeks and maybe take a look at any concerns that might be had?
It would, I mean,
I'll jump in.
Mhm.
It certainly wouldn't hurt. But I think as Mr. Sled mentioned, the work, the proposal before you reflects the work of staff from several departments. So we have a degree of confidence that we're moving forward with the right equipment at the right time for the right price. It happens to fall within the budget scope that we set aside as part of this year's capital improvement plan as well, and are prepared to make future investments as part of future discussions with the council to be able to address what, you know, the fact that we haven't had it for a long time, I don't think is any indication that we should probably continue to wait. I think we should have had this, 10 years ago. So I think it's important that we stick to a timeline to get this equipment installed.
Okay, and I guess my question would be, let's face it, we've made mistakes before. That we've looked back and gone, I wish we would have known something. Is there a benefit to looking into this a little bit further and maybe having this discussion again in 2 weeks? That would be my question for my colleagues as well.
I'm fine with that. I can discuss with them to confirm that we're getting any applicable discounts we're supposed to get via Sourcewell, which was mentioned as well. And then I can ask questions about, come back with a shorter presentation, I guess, just to relay the findings. I mean, I thought it's pretty short
That was
already.
pretty short. Okay, those are my only questions. I'll curious
Sure.
to see everybody else's opinion.
Karen? Any thoughts?
No, Mr. Boyer asked some of the questions that I was thinking about, but, I'm also confident that staff I know has been working on this for a while to gather information, and it's a long time coming. So I'm happy with waiting if the council feels like you need more info, but also feel like they've presented adequate information too.
All right. Thank you, Karen. David?
I would be curious as to is this the best technology of the time? And if we were to look at example, a 2-pixel camera versus a 4+ pixel camera, is there really a cost difference? And is it the same hardware or I'm pulling a cable, I'm a dummy, I pull string and tape it up and call it a camera. So is that same work? Could we start with the installation and then it becomes a bulb at the camera at the end is the last thing that gets put in anyhow? If we upgrade from the technology. And then the second thing is, as we start bringing these phases in, is the technology going to be so greatly improved at the next phases of the project that those pieces look better onto the monitor than today's installation? I'd hate to think, well, that was yesterday's to tomorrow's type of thought. And then one last question, I didn't read all the operation of it, but is this monitored 24/7? Is it monitored by an alarm goes off so somebody goes and looks?
The alarms are monitored 24/7. The cameras, I think this IT has access to those in PD.
So they're a demand or a review type monitor. Okay. Thank you.
David, you're always going to be 18 months behind in all technology, so you're never going to be the latest and greatest.
I got a big hand, and a little hand on a watch. Does that give you a clue?
Could I ask Bill, Director of Public Works, to augment what Michael's report has done? I am tending to lean toward what Gary has talked about, but I don't want to undermine staff's excellent work because I know you guys have done it. But Eric did address a number of different topics. And so I just am curious from honestly, your vast amount of experience in different sectors and cities, what would be your thought?
Yeah, I think one of the things for me, it's important is to understand that it wasn't just Public Works that was involved with this. Like Michael said, IT was involved, PD was involved. A lot of departments were involved. The
Okay.
specifications were developed. They met with multiple vendors. We went through that advertising process, our own purchasing process as it's established, to make sure that we gave everyone that was out there an opportunity to bid on this process and provide proposals to us. So I'm confident that what we got back meets the needs of the organization. Like Councilmember Allo said, we're always a little bit behind the technology. I think what we've got, though, will provide what we need for security. I think it's important we get the building secure with the glass breaks, with the motion sensors, everything else. The cameras are a great augmentation to that. It allows us to see things that have happened. We can go back and review that video if we need to. I think the cameras are of good enough quality that it will meet our needs. Obviously, this is not national security. We're not doing facial recognition. We're not doing any of those really high-tech things. We're looking for cameras and video that will allow us to see that if someone vandalized the building, that we could see who that is, or perhaps somebody came in the facility and caused an issue. We want to go back and review that. It gives us the opportunity to do that. So based on what our needs are, what we're trying to accomplish with the system, I'm confident the staff have done a good job. They've vetted this well. We've gone through our entire purchasing process. We did go through that RFP. Like Mr. Sled pointed out, we did not pick the lowest vendor. So we picked the vendor that met our needs the best. I believe the technology is good. It will seamlessly coordinate with what we've got going. So PD was comfortable with it. IT was comfortable with it. Michael's comfortable with it. I would support their recommendation to move forward with awarding the contract.
Great. Thank you, Bill. The captains are both here, and I don't know which one wants to address this, but my question is, I don't look at tape after a crime. So I don't know what the difference is from a 4-pixel camera or a piece of film than a 2. Do either of you men want to address the number of crime tapes that you viewed, and is there one type of camera or one type of system that gives you a better assessment to catch the bad guy with than the other one, or
Perhaps, although my partner may wish to add to this. So I can't specifically comment relative to the number of megapixels, which is more advantageous, but what I can tell you is that video surveillance is perhaps one of the single biggest generator of leads in a criminal investigation that you can have. It can take a case where essentially you have no leads, and it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to find the individuals that are associated with the commission of the crime. And when you have video surveillance, specifically good video surveillance that allows you to view in various lighting conditions, both day and night, that drastically increases the likelihood that we will be able to find who is responsible for this and hold them accountable for what they have done. So relative to the number of megapixels, I'm sorry, I don't know that I can provide any direction that I'd be comfortable with giving council at this particular point. But what I can tell you is that the addition of video cameras or I guess not video cameras anymore since it's not tape, but the addition of surveillance cameras in key locations is something that we look at not only for our own internal security, but for our community as well. As a matter of fact, we have a community relations CSO whose one of her major jobs is to go out and provide crime prevention through environmental design assessments to our community members, businesses, residences, and we found it to be very successful thus far.
Okay. And I can't get my, iPad going here. But when I was reading the report, a significant amount of this is surrounding the reservoirs that we have, the wells that we have. And I'm, really attentive to, some of the crazy stuff that's going on related to water and electrical power, and really, the incredible disaster that could happen if any of that system is tampered with. I guess my question is, and I looked, I don't know, Gary, you got your report up, but do we have the best cameras on those systems? Not to minimize the, security of, City Hall, but the city can exist without a City Hall. it's pretty hard to exist when our reservoirs are criminalized, to use a less blunt word that I was thinking about. So I'm just, Michael, Bill, I don't know. So the cameras, the systems that are monitoring those assets have we got the very best
Yeah, I mean, those are
on those?
those are gonna be the
I
12
mean,
megapixel.
Louis Pompey Park, I love that park. I don't want anything done to it. But, if we can't play a soccer game, oh, well. But if we don't have a water, then that's a big issue. So can you help me to try to analyze that, or?
Those are the better cameras that we're
They
getting,
are.
those exterior cameras. Those are 12 megapixel ones. The 4
Okay.
megapixel ones and the 2 megapixel ones, I believe, are inside.
Okay.
12 megapixels are pretty good cameras.
Mayor.
Yeah, and I'm not a tech guy. I mean, everybody knows that I was the last one besides Karen to have a flip phone, which I was very proud of. And I still have, I don't have a Apple Watch. I have a Timex watch, and it's very basic. But anyway, so I'm not the tech guy here, but I just want to make sure that that if we need to have staff, have a conference with Eric, who seems to know what he's doing, maybe a week or two might just make everything really, really better. But, I don't want to hold everything up and, please.
May I interject?
Sure.
Maybe wise to have Ms. Ricci come up as she oversees IT operations
Okay,
for the city to answer that
absolutely.
question. I will also add, just as you had questions about our water infrastructure. You'll recall several months ago, a pump was vandalized and we
Right.
did not have any of this equipment in
Right.
place to be able to be able to secure the facility. And so we spent a considerable amount of money to repair the damage that was made at that
Right.
particular
I
facility.
remember that.
So in that sense, yes, it's important that we move sooner rather than
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. Marie,
Good evening
please.
again.
Good evening.
Just to give a little bit of background on this, this was ICRMA, our insurance authority. They conducted a safety assessment on the city, and it's been about 3 to 4 years since they did that. And it's only now that we've been able to take action on the recommendations that they put into place in a report for the city. It's really important that we move forward with this because every year we do an inventory of the whole entire city. We report it to ICRMA, and our premiums are based on the systems and security that we have in place so that when we submit the inventory, they know that we have those items into play as well. For the water side, I don't know if you guys know this, but there is a federal law that we have a bio anti-terrorism plan in place. And so those are the types of things that would protect our water. Obviously, it's not made public for obvious reasons, but having those things into place will also identify the type of technology that has to be there, that has like the minimum standard there that we have to have in place in order to protect those facilities. So a lot of these things are dictated by not only policies from ICRMA and insurance authorities, but also state law and federal law for water protection.
All right.
I want to add to that. I'm not sure if you're here there or not, but the FBI came and also did a review of all of our facilities and found a number of areas that we were lacking that are in this security plan now. So we're really behind the 8 ball in getting this done.
Okay.
And the second part is, as far as the pixel for the cameras, we have to also see it on the backside. While this is the cost for installation, we'll be paying for storage of all this footage as well. We have a requirement that we'll have to store for at least 1 year. And so if we have a lot of footage that's high resolution and we're not utilizing it, the city's paying a lot of money for that. We also know that as we purchase this technology, will probably be outdated in about 6 months. And so it's trying to be reasonable on the front end and also on the back end from a storage and records management side.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay. Anything else? There's a motion that's been made. Michael has made that. Karen has seconded that. Is there any other comments or anything? Gary, are you satisfied with?
No, the staff seems very confident in
Okay.
moving forward, and I'm good with that.
Okay. Then why don't we vote? See where it goes.
Okay, I'll now conduct oral roll call. Councilmember Alowis.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Friedenau.
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes,
Motion carries 5-0.
thank you. Okay, that concludes the business for the night. Comments from any of the council? Michael?
Raise your hand. Tomorrow's Valentine's. Did you get your significant other? This is the second most important day of the year outside of your spouse's birthday. Remember that. I went to Seas and got the flowers already. I'm good to go.
Girl
Just a
Scout
reminder.
cookies count?
No, they don't.
You got flowers at Seas?
No, a flower shop. Chocolate flowers. Hey, there you go. No.
All right, well, that's a good word for all of us to share the love that
Well, it is also Ash Wednesday tomorrow, so if you forget, you can
Ash
go
Wednesday.
repent and you're good.
here you go. Okay, thank you. Gary, anything?
No,
David?
Yes, please.
Yes.
There was reference made this evening on the progress on the Arrow Highway corridor and the street vendor process reviews. I'm very grateful for and want to acknowledge staff and certainly Bill Woodcoff on the Public Works. He's working behind the scenes with LA County Public Works, and there's a lot going on, much more than we can realize, and painfully slow to process, but we saw evidence. And I also was fortunate to witness people I suspected were doing good deeds. So today, just as late as, so keep up the great work. Thank you for that. And one person did not make this happen. Thank you.
David, thank you. And I am being told that another rain event is coming in just a couple days. So prepare and be safe, and know that the city is also doing that. And we want to help you in any way that we can.
So Janet, get out your buckets.
Yeah, Janet. Yeah. So Moises, anything that you need to update? Danny, anything? Okay. With that, we will adjourn at 8:36.